Hello ladies and gents, Vaz the Viking Vazitron here, bringing you some footage from the Battlefield 3 Open Beta. I apologize for not posting anything in the past month, but there are two reasons for that. First of all, I was just goddamn tired of Call of Duty Black Ops. There's only so much of that game that a person can play. And the second reason was that I went back to work as a game tester for about a month. And when I test games quote-unquote professionally, I just don't feel like playing at home. Anyway, what you're about to see isn't exactly noteworthy for any specific reason. It just happens to be the first footage that I recorded from the beta. I was testing out fraps and seeing if I can play and record at the same time, and it turns out the game works pretty decently with fraps running at 30 FPS. Which is a big surprise to me because the game just looks stunning, and I was worried that it would stutter once I turned fraps on. Yeah, and I did see that grenade coming, but decided to finish defusing the MCOM station. There was no way I was going to dodge it anyway. As to the beta itself, I've played 8 or 9 hours so far, and have unlocked quite a few weapons. My favorites so far are definitely the UMP-45 with a red dot sight, and the one that I'm sporting in this video, the AEK-971, a variant of the AK-47, or AK-74, or whatever. You get my point. The only add-on that I use on this weapon is the grip, because recoil in the Battlefield series is definitely an issue for me. It's been at least 3 years since I've played a Battlefield title, and well yeah, I became a COD noob while playing Call of Duty. And this brings me to my next point. It might take me a while to produce some good gameplay footage from Battlefield, because the game dynamic is just so much different from Call of Duty. As you can see, I still have the jerky twitch reflexes that you get while playing Call of Duty, and I'm overly aggressive when I don't have to be. But just sitting back and waiting for the enemy to come to me just isn't my style, which is why in rush mode I love being on the attacking side. A lot of people have done first impressions of the game. In my case, this won't be a first impression. This will be from the perspective of playing 8 to 9 hours. And there's a few things that I really like about the game, and there are also a lot that I dislike. So let's start out with the pros. First off, you've obviously got the graphics, which are bloody amazing. They're just stunning. And I'm not even running ultra graphics yet since they're disabled in the beta. Next, you got the audio, which is great. The guns sound like real guns for a change, unlike in Call of Duty and Homefront. They're metallic, they thud when they shoot, they don't sound like plastic toys. Another big pro for me are the customization options, which include the option of removing your scope from your sniper rifle, something that I spoke about in a recent video. Earlier I mentioned that recoil is an issue for me in Battlefield, but I consider it to be a pro. Any game that actually forces a player to spend some time with a given weapon to actually learn how to use it with precision is fine by my books. And that's about it for the pros, or at least the obvious ones that I can think of right now. It's time to look at the bad side of the beta. My first beef is the squad system, which sucks donkey balls and basically doesn't exist. When you join a server with 6 or 7 friends, the chance that you'll actually end up in a squad with them is, well, little to none. This would be perfectly fine if you could then select what squad you'd like to belong to, but you can't. For some reason, you just can't. There's no option to do it. All I can say is that I hope that they'll implement this in the final game, because if they won't, well, then what's the point of playing a tactical shooter if you can't play with people that you know and trust on the battlefield? My next beef is the hit detection, which mind you is perfectly fine at medium to long ranges, but once you get up close and personal, it's not as pretty. On more than one occasion, I've been in curious gunfights where a whole clip emptied into an opponent who was standing just 2 meters away failed to register. Not a single bullet, and I mean there was no chance in hell that I could have missed. Another aspect of the game that kind of bothers me is the way line of sight works. What I mean specifically is that there are places on the map where somebody can lie down, see everything in front of them, and yet they are completely invisible to their opponents. Now, I don't mean that they're lying down in bushes, which is a frequent occurrence so far on Operation Metro. I love you campers, I hope you all burn in hell. But they're just lying down on a rock or in the middle of a field, and yet still they're invisible. I mean, I'd understand if all I could see was just a tiny bit of their head poking out from above the ground, but you see absolutely nothing. What I've found myself doing recently is just spamming the spot button all the time, just to make sure that there isn't somebody looking at me, looking at them, if you know what I mean. It's ridiculous. But it's not as ridiculous as the laser and tactical flashlight gun attachments, which in my opinion should be removed from the game as fast as possible. Now sure, you can argue that they're only useful in dark places, but whilst in those dark places, you're fucked if you encounter somebody flashing that thing in your face, be it friend or fucking foe. I've read in several places that this is a realistic feature, but it's a game breaker nonetheless. It's basically a free flashbang thrown at any opponent that you look at. And if this is a feature that's supposed to stay in the game just for the sake of realism, then I want a fucking tactical visor that will prevent me from being blinded by them. That, or at least a pair of shades. But all in all, I must admit that I am enjoying the Battlefield 3 beta immensely, and Battlefield 3, the final game, is looking pretty good. If you haven't checked out the beta yet, you should definitely give it a go. It's good fun, and it won't cost you anything. And you never know, you might help make the game even better than it is right now. Anyway, that's all she wrote. I know that the gameplay might have been a bit underwhelming, but as I said before, I'm getting into the Battlefield flow, and hopefully we'll have some better stuff in a couple of days. So, until then, thank you for watching, and see you next time.